Well, it was almost too good to be true after Iowa had one of their healthiest August camps in the 27 years of Kirk Ferentz. A big injury. Reece Vander Zee is hurt. We break it down today. Locked on Hawkeyes.
You are Locked On Hawkeyes, your daily podcast on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome in. I'm Trent Condon, and this is the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. We are your daily source of Hawkeye news and information, talking the world of Hawkeye athletics with you each and every day. Today's episode of Locked On Hawkeyes is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. I am Trent Condon. I've been covering the Hawkeyes for over 20 years on the radio. You can hear me currently on the Iowa Sports Radio Network each weekday from noon to 2. In fact, I'm going to be set up in Iowa City today. You can find me over at Fry Fest. Excited to be over there. Well, Coralville to be exact. And stop on by. Say hello, as I'll be broadcasting live from noon until 2. And then our afternoon show will be there as well with Sean Roberts and Lucas Strain on the Iowa Sports Radio Network, stations in Des Moines, Sioux City, Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, and Quad Cities. I'm looking forward for my first time to actually be able to make it to Fry Fest, at least for a little bit, before I got to get back and call some high school football. We're going to talk a little bit today about some women's basketball as their non-conference schedule has been released. We still wait for the men's schedule as they're looking to tie up a couple of bows on that front. We'll also talk a little bit more about the Albany matchup. I'm giving my prediction for the game, but we're going to talk a little bit more about what I expect to see, some player projections and some opportunities, and I think some guys that are going to shine coming up on tomorrow's matchup. But we begin today with the big news as Reece Vander Zee has sustained an injury. As reported by Hawkeye insiders David Eicholt, a foot injury has led to Reece Vander Zee expected to miss about a month of the football season. So let's go right here and start at the top of this conversation when we can anticipate Reece Vander Zee going to be back. Not going to play, obviously, this week against Albany. Not going to be there for the road trip over to Ames to take on the Cyclones. The UMass game, don't think that's going to be a likelihood as they're just a couple of weeks away from that one. Even the matchup against Rutgers and Indiana, it's going to be maybe incredibly tight when you look at that timeline. They do have a bye week, remember, after that matchup against Indiana. September 27th against the Hoosiers, the game in Kinnick Stadium. Then there is a bye before they make their way to Camp Randall and take on Wisconsin. So with that, you definitely are left wondering if that would be a likely timeline for him to be able to come back. And at that point, there's 7 games left of the regular season and how that's going to play out. I know there's been some speculation and some thought that potentially you keep him at the redshirt status, play just 4 games of the regular season, and still maintain a redshirt for Reece Vander Zee. I still think he's too important for this Iowa offense. We saw the big body. We saw the physicality that he plays with. And you remember this guy in high school as he was coming in, multi-sport athlete, had to do a bunch of different things. This is not a guy that was a full-time wide receiver. This is not a guy that was working on routes because he's playing other sports. He was doing other things. He was doing other things at the high school level. And really, my hope coming into this season is we were going to see Reece Vander Zee take a big step forward as a wide receiver because for the first time, he was dedicated completely to football and not playing other sports. But secondly, those little things, right? The route running, the footwork, the precision, all the things. We know the physical tools certainly are there. Also, more reporting from David Eicholt. He mentioned this was not something that happened during the course of a practice. This was not something that they were in a drill or anything like that, that he was just walking upstairs and felt some discomfort. So good reporting there by David Eicholt over at HawkeyeInsider.com. Taking that a step further. So now we go back, I think the last injury that kind of impacted really at this time of the year or this time of week of a game week was, of course, a couple of years back with Cooper DeJean, as that was in practice, as they were trying to finally implement him into the offense and he got rolled up on, and that happened here. Not the case with Reece Vander Zee and this injury. More speculation, and that's all this is, but we saw the depth chart come out. And I think a lot of people speculated when you saw Sam Phillips in that starting spot, well, maybe this was something that happened. Now, this just happened the other day, so this is not something where the depth chart came out before the injury. We'll put it that way. Take it a step further, though, and a little bit more to maybe get the mind moving. You do wonder if this was something, and the kind of foot injury like this, if it was something that was bothering him beforehand, if it was something that was in there and maybe it slowed him down a little bit or led to, him not being able to go at 100% like you'd anticipate. Just speculation again on my front, but something to put in the back of your mind. So what does it mean for Iowa? Well, as mentioned, he was not listed as a starter. The three wide receivers that were listed as the starters coming into the year, Sam Phillips was ahead of him at one spot. Of course, Seth Anderson and Jacob Gill, the two other guys that were listed as starters. And those guys are going to get a bulk of the snaps. And certainly when we look forward to week number 2 against Iowa State, we anticipate that's going to be the case. Some other guys, though, are going to get an opportunity. And I think a lot of people are going to get an opportunity, certainly in this game against Albany, as we'll talk about here in just a little bit. But this is an opportunity for a guy like Jarrett Bowie, who was injured in the spring, didn't get a ton of time. You wonder timing-wise what his timing is like right now with Mark Gronowski. But I thought we saw a couple of things last year from Bowie that leads you to believe that maybe he's going to be a guy that can be helped out a little bit more. I'm going a step further from that. We go through these wide receivers. Seth Anderson, not a big guy. Sam Phillips, a little guy. Jacob Gill, not big by any means for a wide receiver, kind of average size, I guess you will, for that. Cade Weechin, not a big guy. Jarrett Bowie, not huge. KJ Parker, we'll get to in a moment. He's another speed guy. And then you have Dayton Howard. We saw Dayton Howard score the touchdown a year ago against Maryland. Good size, runs well for a 6'5" guy. And if this could be a potential opportunity for him, and certainly at the times when they want to have that X wide receiver at the position, they have two completely different body types with Sam Phillips out there and Reece Vander Zee. But maybe it's in the red zone. That's an opportunity where in the red zone, you want to have that bigger wide receiver. You're trying to get a matchup that you like, and that tall receiver, you throw it to a pylon, go up and get it. Reece Vander Zee makes those kind of plays. Maybe that's the opportunity for Dayton Howard and something to keep an eye on Saturday. Mentioned KJ Parker. And starting last season when he showed up on campus, this was a guy that came up continually. When you're talking with people, kind of that next group of player, we're looking for some of those young guys, KJ Parker's name continued to come up. And he's a guy I think that has an opportunity now to maybe ascend and maybe even put himself in position to be that fourth wide receiver out of the three mentioned guys ahead of them. So that's what it looks like right now. Caden Weechin's another guy, we'll see if it plays out. There was a lot of talk back when he made the decision to come back that he wanted to diversify his portfolio for the next level a little bit more and be able to become more of a wide receiver than just a return specialist. And they're hoping to do that. And there's going to be opportunities there. This is a great time for this to happen. We know the back half of the year, the middle part of the year, schedule gets difficult. And yes, you'd love to have Reece Vander Zee back out there, certainly for the Indiana game, if you can. But with that bye week in there, how that's going to impact things. But it's a blow, no doubt. And something that's going to be impactful. Another thing to think about, and speaking of those red zone targets, and I brought up Dayton Howard, if that's going to lead to maybe some more 2 tight end sets when they get down there, using Addison Estrenga, using Zach Ortworth, using those guys in different situations when normally maybe Vander Zee would be out there and one of those bigger targets down in the red zone. And if it leads to a little bit more usage out of the tight end position. So that's the big news of the day, as Reece Vander Zee will be out for about a month with the injury, and certainly a blow in for a guy that missed 7 games last year with an injury. You hope that this is something that's going to end for him very quickly, because the upside is certainly there. A guy that is going to be able to help this team, and I still think help this team certainly this football season. Mention the game on Saturday as we get ready for the matchup against Albany. 5 o'clock kickoff at Kinnick Stadium, and plenty of time to get well lubricated and get ready for the football game. We'll talk about what we're going to see, player projections when we come back, what we expect to see here from the Hawkeyes on Saturday. We'll do that as we continue Locked On Hawkeyes. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time. That's right. Game Time is the app that gives you the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last minute tickets for all the games that you want to go to at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you actually pay. I pull up the Game Time app, and in just a couple of taps, I saw great deals. In fact, great deals for the game coming up on Saturday. That's right. You want to make your way to Kinnick Stadium, you can do it on the Game Time app. There are all kinds of great deals going on right now for you. Plus, the app is super simple. I can see where I'm going to be inside Kinnick Stadium from my seat before even buying. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, use that promo code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Trent Condon back with you once again here on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for being with us and making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. Back to what we're going to see against Albany. I made my prediction yesterday and my full season prediction for the season. And with my fingers crossed that it's going to be better than what I projected yesterday. Let's go into what we think we're going to see here on Saturday against the Great Danes, who kind of look like a mess. All right. Let's start at the quarterback position because, well, that's always the top of the box score, and we'll go right there. Mark Gronowski. I got Gronowski going 11-15, 155 yards, couple of touchdowns, and let's put this one in here too. Gronowski's going to have one nice run. It's going to be one of those oohs and ahs. Maybe it'll be some physicality that he does. Maybe it's just a scramble on a third and long situation and picking up a first down. But I do think he's not going to run a ton in this football game, and I think they want to keep that number pretty low in this one. But I think there will be one that'll lead to some happy Hawkeye fans with what he does with his feet. I don't believe he's going to go the whole time, though. I think Hank Brown's going to be in there, and not only is Hank Brown going to play, but they're going to let him chuck it around a little bit. I got Hank going 4-6, 38 yards, and he also throws his first career touchdown in a Hawkeye uniform. So 3 passing touchdowns for the Hawkeyes on Saturday. Let's go to the running back position. Kamari Moulton coming off the soft tissue injury. I don't think they're going to use him a ton. I think they want to get a lot of these running backs an opportunity. 9 carries, 55 yards, something like that for Kamari Moulton. I think you'll see plenty of Jazian Patterson, one of the healthier running backs in this one. Got him at 11 carries, 71 yards in this one. TJ Washington, Terrell Washington Jr., got him with 6 carries in the game, a couple of catches as well. We know about his diverse skill set and how they want to also get him involved in the passing game. Xavier Williams got him down for 4 carries, got 5 for Nathan McNeil, the true freshman. Think he's going to be out there a bunch in the fourth quarter. We'll go all the way to number 6, Brevin Dahl. Think he'll get a couple of carries late in the game as well and get his first carries in a Hawkeye uniform. Let's go next to wide receiver. Mention, well, there's 3 passing touchdowns in this game. Who's going to get them? One for Seth Anderson. He's going to have one big play in this football game. Sam Phillips, I think he's going to have one of those ooh or ah plays, going to show that speed and going to lead to a lot of excitement with the speed that we're going to see from Sam Phillips. 4 for 62 from Phillips. Jacob Gill, solid, dependable, a standard Jacob Gill game. 4 catches, 39 yards for him. Here's Addison Estrenga. Mentioned that tight end position and maybe a little bit more usage for them. 3 for 29 and a touchdown for Estrenga. KJ Parker, he's going to catch that touchdown from Hank Brown. I mean, how's that for a call? If I hit this one, I need to make my way back to Vegas. And Dayton Howard gets in there and gets a catch. There you go. There's a run through that. A couple other ones, a couple of predictions for the players. Carson Shire will lead the team in tackles. Now, not a ton because I don't anticipate the starters are going to play a whole lot in this football game. 8 tackles in the game for Carson Shire to lead the way. How about an interception from TJ Hall? Get him off on the right start for his senior campaign, and a couple of sacks for Ethan Herkett. Finally, special teams. Dakin will hit a couple of boomers. Hopefully not too many. 2 punts. That sound good? Yeah, let's let him knock off like a 60-yarder. Another good one we'll call it a day. And 2 for 2 in field goals for Drew Stevens. So that's what I got. My player projections coming up this weekend and my anticipation. You missed it yesterday. I got Iowa winning this one 41-0. Shutout on the board. See some offense. See some highlights. Have a good time. Everybody's out there. Everybody gets to touch the football offensively. It'll be one of those good games in Kinnick Stadium. A little more football here for you as things just wrapped up this evening in college football as I'm recording for you here on a Friday. And watching through the Big Ten games, well, of course, it started up with Boise getting upset by South Florida, but into the Big Ten. So I flip it on, and I'm watching Rutgers. And they're comfortably ahead, and all of a sudden, here comes Ohio. It's an Ohio team that didn't have huge expectations coming into the season. Their quarterback, Navarro, was able to move, and I thought that was eye-opening. He had some big plays in the run game and also threw for 240 yards in the game and threw 3 touchdowns against this Rutgers defense. Manis is back again at QB for Rutgers. As I said yesterday when we were projecting the season, I love Iowa in a short week, making their way to Rutgers. They've been good in those Friday spots against Nebraska in the past as well, and I think they're going to be ready to go for that one. And Manis, I've seen him, and it doesn't always inspire confidence in the way that guy was. Then we go to a couple of more that'll be on the Hawkeye schedule. Start with Minnesota, a very lackadaisical effort against Buffalo. Phil Fleck gets the win. Congratulations. Buffalo gets the cover. Congratulations to me on that one. But Drake Lindsay made a couple of big plays in the game, and one that stretched it out to that 13-point lead on a wide open blown coverage. I know Buffalo returned a ton defensively, 10 starters back, and that's why I like them in my handicap is what they returned. Darius Taylor, he's a really good running back, but it looks like another Minnesota team, and unless a touchdown gets taken off the board for Iowa, it's one game, overreact. Yeah, that's what we do. Still, I feel even maybe better about Iowa's chances against the Gophers than I did coming into the season when I thought they were going to win the game, but it might be tight. I don't know about that. I did give Iowa a loss to Wisconsin, and talk about second-guessing yourself. Yuck. The Badgers. Now, they lose their starting quarterback as Billy Edwards got hurt very early in that football game, and they had to go to Danny O'Neal, the backup, in that spot. O'Neal showed a little shiftiness running the ball, but boy, I don't know if it's going to happen for Luke Fickell. And I was messing around a little bit with Ryan, our guy over at Locked On Badgers, in our Big Ten squad show last week, and gave him a hard time that they were going to lose 8 straight to lose the season. Luke Fickell was going to be fired. Luke Fickell went out, got a new offensive coordinator, somebody that makes a whole lot more sense for Wisconsin, getting back to ground and pound, run the ball. They struggled against Miami of Ohio. Chuck Martin's a great coach, a great defensive mind, but that one, Bucky, this might be a rough year with the schedule that they have, coupled with the way they looked. Yuck. And then, of course, our neighbors to the west, the stinking Huskers. 2017, kid made a great play in the end zone of what could have been a game winner for Cincinnati, and they survived. 95%, 98% maybe. Nebraska fans in the stands at Arrowhead for that one. Did you walk away impressed? That's the Big Ten. And I just mentioned 4 opponents that are on this Iowa football schedule. And I think with each and every one of them, I walked away a little bit disappointed. Rutgers letting a very average MAC Ohio team hang around and have an opportunity a couple of times late in that game. Nebraska, even though they dominated the box score, they've done that before against Iowa, but letting Cincinnati hang around and finally made a play late in the game to actually get it done in a 3-point game. Minnesota, Wisconsin. I go from all those games being concerning. In fact, I have Iowa down for 2 losses when I made my predictions yesterday against Nebraska and against Wisconsin, and I'm definitely second-guessing myself about that one. We'll see. Teams change. Teams evolve. Teams get better throughout the course of the year, but it wasn't exactly the best step forward in week number 1 for the Big Ten on a Thursday night. We continue Locked On Hawkeyes. We got more coming your way, including a look at the non-conference schedule for the women's basketball team. That is coming your way here in a moment. Before that, though, we want to hear from you. Locked On wants to hear from you right now, and we got this request out there at this time. We put together a survey just to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey You can also find the link in our show notes, and thanks for helping us out. We come back with more here, Locked On Hawkeyes, a look at the Iowa women's basketball non-conference schedule and what it looks like for this team that's going to look a whole lot different again this season and the evolution of the women's basketball program. That's next, Locked On Hawkeyes. Hey, Hawkeye fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump. Use my limited time promo code FOOTBALL. It's going to get you an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas that you already needed. At first, I thought this is just too good to be true, but it is totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code FOOTBALL for a limited time 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's promo code FOOTBALL. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. Welcome back one final time to Locked On Hawkeyes. I'm Trent Condon as we count down to kickoff with Iowa facing off against Albany on Saturday. As we continue on the podcast, a look at the Iowa women's basketball team. So their schedule was released for next season, and some good games in there. Now it opens up very quickly against three teams that should be, well, one's an exhibition. Ashland. I don't know Ashland. Have you met Ashland? I don't know Ashland. Southern. That's it. Southern University. Comes in for Louisiana. That should be domination. Evansville. Haven't been very good in the Missouri Valley. Then it's Drake, who has been good in the Missouri Valley, followed up with a road trip to UNI. But now, here's when things get a little spicy. I will be heading to Orlando, and they face off against Baylor in their first game down there. We'll follow it up with a matchup against Miami. So a couple of good games there before Thanksgiving for the Hawkeye women and a good measuring stick for the program. Then back home for two more. It's Western Illinois coming in from Macomb, followed up by Fairfield. After that, it is Iowa State. They'll be taking on the Cyclones. That is December 10th as they will this year go on the road to Iowa State to face the Cyclones. Two more in the non-conference. It's Lindenwood on December 13th, and then they'll wrap up the non-conference portion of the schedule with the big one against Gino Auriemma and UConn. Baylor, UConn, Miami. Of course, the in-state game against Iowa State, who should be good again this season. Pretty good non-conference schedule and a pretty good slate here for Jan Jensen's squad. As we know what they're going to look like, obviously, with Hannah Stuelke, what she's going to bring, the newness coming in with Addie Deal, some of those young freshmen from last year, are they going to take a step forward in their sophomore year? The hype train, obviously, there with Ava Hayden after what we saw, the glimpses that we saw out of her last season. Hayes coming in as well in that freshman class along with Addie Deal. Should be another fun season of Iowa basketball. We mentioned a little bit yesterday about what a big recruiting weekend it is for the Iowa women coming up this weekend, as it'll be McKenna Wolichko who is coming in. In fact, I saw a picture of her that she tweeted out, her and her family making their way to Iowa City. I know you're going to make it great at Kinnick Stadium, going to make it sound good in there as well of what we're going to see in that one, and should be a good one. Hey, one final thing on that football note. Found this interesting. So after I put out a tweet yesterday about your prediction, what Iowa football, what the record is going to be in 2025. And Hawkeye fans, you answered with this. So I put it this way. 4 options. That's what you get on Twitter. 10-2 or better, 9-3, 8-4, or 7-5 or worse. And a little bit to my surprise, because I thought maybe the number would be higher. What I predicted, 8-4, was the winning result. Now, it was with just 38% of the vote, very closely, followed up by 9-3, where 37% of you. So overall, we're talking about 75% of you expect Iowa to be either 9-3 or 8-4 this season. 10% of you chose 10 or 2 or better, and then 15% 7-5 or worse. So those are the results. You can find us on Twitter at Locked On Iowa, and you can find us there each and every day. Thanks for being with us as always and making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. We'll have one more bonus podcast coming out for you on Saturday morning. I had an opportunity to talk with Tom Kakert on my radio show Friday. We'll pass that along to you as well coming up a little bit later on and get you set for Iowa football. 5 o'clock kickoff against Albany. Shout out to you everydayers with us each and every day, and a big thank you to everybody out there. Hit subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. 5-star reviews on the podcast side. I really appreciate it. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Until then, go Hawks.